And then we're going to select this using the elliptical marquee tool, and we're going to just select roughly center where the pupil is there, and then while we're dragging out we want to hold down the Alt key and the Shift key. We've got a perfect circle selected from the center there. We don't want to get any of this outer edge here where it's softened off. We can do this manually, so I think that probably about there would be good. Now you notice that we've got up here feather. I want it to be nice and feathered, so I'm going to go for a level of 9 for this, and we're going to Control and C to copy, and then just click in our layer where we've got this going on and create a brand new layer. And in fact we don't need to do that because our layer is going to be created when we paste it in there anyway. So Control and V, a brand new layer gets created. So this is good. Now when we actually want to scale this, make sure that your show transform tools are on, and also you want to make sure that when you click on it once that you're scaling with this new chain that's coming up. This is a link to keep the aspect ratio correct. Now when we scale this down, you can see that it's not scaling center. This is because we need to scale it with the Alt key held down. There we go. So I'm going to scale it to just outreach the border edges of where our UVs are there. That's probably about there, and then we're going to apply this. That's good. I'm happy with that. Let's just turn that off and see what we've got for the minute. All's looking pretty good at the moment. We want to create another layer now, and for this layer we're going to be adding some veins. Now I'm using a Wacom tablet for this. You're going to be able to do just as well with a mouse because the type of painting that we're going to be doing is rather random. So a small brush size we want. That should do it. And we want to select a nice deep red. And we can control the opacity as well, obviously. So I just want to get some veins in there like that. You can just see me just manually just squiggling some in from all different directions. And don't be scared to go right the way from the outside. We're going to get a nice transition coming in. Like that. I'm going to create another layer now, and in this particular layer I'm going to be doing some more scribbling. So I'm going to take the opacity down a little bit, and I'm just going to you can see what I'm doing there. I'm just creating a bit of a scribble there to fill in some of this. Because I've got it on a separate layer, I'm going to be able to adjust the opacity of this. If I don't like it, I can even delete it. But I'm pretty happy with that. And I'm going to create one more layer just because I like to have all the control, and I'm going to take the opacity up. I'm going to create some more darker, deeper veins. Just the odd view that you can see. If you look on the real human eye, you'll be able to see that there is an odd few really dark ones there. Now don't worry if you go over the iris area, because this layer is going to be put in the correct order in a minute. So this layer needs to be going under the iris. It's easier just to grab the iris layer and move it up to the top, and that's where it should be. Let's just turn off this wireframe and see what we've got. Not bad. So we've got an eye created here now that we can use as our texture. There's one other thing that we need though, and that is to create a bit of darkness around here. Now what we use for this is called the burn tool, and it will burn a darker kind of tint around the outside without actually just putting like a straight colour around it. Now to do this, we're going to use the marquee tool again that we've used before, and I'm going to go roughly from this centre there. I'm dragging it out so it's just covering near the edge there, and I want the feather to be reasonably high for this, say about 14. And then we're going to inverse this selection here, which is the shift, control and I. Then we're going to grab this burn tool, and we're just going to go around the outside, and you'll see this burn just make it a little bit darker for us. Control and D deselects this marquee selection tool, and I think that's pretty much got it. So I'm pretty happy with that. Now there's a few other things that you can do. You can use the where are we? The dodge, and this will actually enable us to kind of create a more lighter highlights in certain areas, so that's quite nice. And also we can go in there to the image adjustments, and I adjust the saturation as an example, so we may want it to be a little bit more saturated. Okay, so this pretty much finishes off for the actual eye texture, and I'm pretty happy with that. So now I'm just going to export this. Now I'm going to export this to keep the file size low. I'm going to export it as a JPEG, so it's going to be compressed. But it's a good idea for you to export the actual Adobe Photoshop file type, PSD. So I'm going to do that now, and I'm going to export this texture. So the next step we're going to be taking is to make two maps, and they're both going to be weight maps. They're going to be controlling subsurface scattering and a reflection. These are very, very simple to make, and we're going to use our previously saved PSD file, which has all our layers. First thing we need to do is we need to just flatten some of these layers. So I'm going to select this layer here, and not the actual iris but all the other layers, and hold the shift key and select them all. Now I'm going to right click on this empty space area of any layer and click on merge layers. That's from the menu here, and just see it there. So now it's kept more simple. We've got two particular layers that we've got. Now let's just turn off this background layer. You can see that we've got this, and what we're wanting to do is use this as a guide to where we don't want the subsurface scattering to be applied. To do this, we just simply select our magic selection tool here, see magic wand tool, and click once, and that's perfect. And then we invert this selection. So we go select, inverse. Then we just grab a paintbrush, black color, and we just paint it in black. Then we select the layer underneath, and we do the same thing. We just remove this mask. Control and D removes the mask, and we select white.